Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into some crucial source materials about bikers' rights.
That's right.
Specifically, what legal options are actually available after a motorcycle crash. It's complex.
It really is.
And the sources, they kick off with a pretty stark point. When a biker gets taken down, it's not just the ride that's over.
No, it impacts everything. Your life, your work, your freedom. It's a major disruption.
Exactly. And the core message we found running through all this material is that you absolutely have to understand and use your legal rights to, well, fight back.
Yeah. Our mission here is to pull out the key insights.
Yeah.
How do you seek justice when it's someone else's carelessness or maybe a faulty part or even just a bad patch of road that causes the crash?
And it's not just one path, is it?
Not at all. What the sources clearly show is that there are multiple distinct ways to pursue accountability. It's definitely not limited to just, a typical car accident claim.
Okay. So let's start with maybe the most common situation people think of. You're riding and someone else, another driver, takes you down.
Right. The classic scenario. A driver's distracted, maybe they cut you off, fail to yield at an intersection. Happens all the time.
So what's the avenue there?
That's your standard personal injury claim. You're going after the driver who was negligent.
And what does that cover typically?
It covers the tangible stuff, the medical bills, lost income if you can't work, but also the intangible, the pain and suffering caused by their mistake.
Now, here's something the sources pointed out specifically for bikers. The injuries are often way worse than the damage to the bike, right?
Absolutely. Critical point. Motorcycle accidents often lead to catastrophic injuries, head trauma, spinal injuries, severe road rash. The damage to the human body can vastly outweigh the vehicle damage.
So the claim needs to reflect that.
Precisely. Pursuing comprehensive damages, including for future pain, future medical needs, long-term impact on life, that becomes paramount. You have to account for just how severe biker injuries often are compared to, say, a fender bender between two cars.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's shift gears. What if the driver did nothing wrong? What if it was the machine itself?
Ah, right. So maybe your brakes fail unexpectedly, or a tire blows out, or even protective gear like a helmet fails in the crash.
Yeah, something like that. Who do you go after then?
Now we're moving away from the driver and into product liability. The claim here isn't against the person on the road, but against the manufacturer, or maybe the distributor or seller of that faulty product.
Okay, product liability. And the sources highlighted something really interesting here about the burden of proof.
Yes, this is fascinating, and a potential advantage for the injured biker. In many product liability cases, you don't necessarily have to prove the company was careless or negligent in how they made the product.
Really? How does that work?
You primarily need to show that the product itself was defective, unreasonably dangerous, that it failed during normal use, and crucially, that this failure directly caused your injury.
So it's about the product, not the company's state of mind.
Exactly. It simplifies things in a way. Was the product faulty? Did it cause harm? That's the core question. It can be a powerful tool against large manufacturers.
That's a huge difference. Okay, third scenario. Let's talk about things that aren't people or products, but the road itself. The invisible enemies, maybe.
Yeah, things like massive potholes the city knew about but didn't fix, or maybe a dangerous oil slick left after road work, or construction debris in the lane.
Stuff that shouldn't be there, basically.
Right. Hazards that point to a lack of proper maintenance or care for the roadway.
So who's responsible then?
This usually falls under premises liability, but with a twist. Often, the entity responsible for road maintenance is a government body, the city, the county, the state.
Ah, so you're potentially suing the government.
Correct. And this is where it gets really, really important and, frankly, quite tricky.
How so?
The sources were unanimous on this. When your claim is against a government entity, the rules change. Especially the deadlines.
Deadlines. You mean statutes of limitations?
Yes, but often much, much shorter. Instead of having maybe a couple of years to file a lawsuit, like against a private driver or company, claims against the government often require you to file a formal notice of claim within weeks or months, sometimes as short as 60 or 90 days.
Wow, that's incredibly fast.
It is. Miss that initial notice deadline, and your right to sue later could be gone completely. So urgency is absolutely critical if you suspect a road hazard caused your crash. You need to act immediately.
Okay, so that's a major takeaway. If it's the road, the clock is ticking fast. Now, the sources also mention a couple of safety nets for specific situations. What about if you were working when the crash happened?
Right. Say you're a courier delivering food, packages, whatever. You're on the clock.
And you get hit.
If you're injured while performing work duties, workers' compensation comes into play. This is a system designed to provide benefits regardless of who was at fault for the accident.
So like automatic coverage.
Pretty much. It typically covers medical treatment and provides partial wage replacement while you're unable to work. And importantly, you don't need to prove your boss or the other driver was negligent to get these benefits.
That sounds like a crucial safety net. Is there a catch?
Well, the main trade-off is that you generally can't sue your employer for the injury, even if they were somehow negligent. Workers' comp is usually the exclusive remedy against the boss.
Okay. But what about the driver who actually hit you?
Good question. And the answer is yes, you absolutely retain the right to sue that negligent third party, the driver who caused the crash. So you could have a workers' comp claim and a personal injury claim running at the same time.
Okay, that's important to distinguish. Now, one more safety net. What happens in that awful scenario where the driver who hits you doesn't have insurance? Or maybe they just drive off a hit and run.
Yeah, unfortunately, that happens way too often. You're injured, the person responsible is either unidentified or can't pay.
Seems like you'd be out of luck.
Not necessarily. This is precisely why uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, UMUM, on your own motorcycle insurance policy is so vital.
So this is insurance you buy for yourself.
Exactly. It acts as a backup.
Yeah.
If the at-fault driver has no insurance, uninsured, or not enough insurance to cover your damages, underinsured, your own policy steps in to cover the gap up to your policy limits.
So it protects you from other people's failures.
That's the idea. It ensures you're not left holding the bag just because the person who hurt you wasn't responsible enough to carry adequate insurance or someone else's negligence, whether it's a driver, a faulty product, or a dangerous road. The surviving family members typically have the right to pursue a wrongful death claim.
And this is brought by the family.
Yes, usually specific family members defined by state law, like a spouse, children, or parents. It seeks accountability for the loss they suffered.
What kind of damages does that cover? It seems like nothing could truly cover that loss.
Of course, no amount of money can replace a loved one. But the legal system tries to provide some measure of justice and financial support. It typically covers things like funeral and burial expenses, the loss of the deceased's future income and support, loss of companionship, and the, profound emotional pain and suffering of the survivors.
It's about holding the responsible party accountable for the immense void left behind.
Exactly. It provides a legal mechanism for that accountability.
So pulling all this together, it sounds like the legal landscape after a motorcycle crash is, well, complicated, but also offers more avenues than maybe people realize.
That's the core takeaway from the sources, I think. The system might sometimes feel like it favors, suits and sedans, as one source put it, but there really are these distinct legal pathways.
Personal injury, product liability, premises liability against the government, workers' comp, UMUM, wrongful death.
Right. Multiple ways to hold different parties accountable depending on the specific facts. Negligent drivers, manufacturers of faulty gear, government entities neglecting roads, even your own insurer stepping up when needed.
So the key is figuring out which path applies.
Definitely. And acting fast. Gathering evidence, police reports, witness info, photos of the scene, preserving the bike and gear as possible, and seeking legal counsel quickly is crucial because, as the sources emphasize, crashing doesn't mean you have to surrender your rights.
So, okay, what does this all mean for you, the listener? I think the sources really hammer home that every injury, every wrecked bike, it tells a story that deserves justice.
Yeah.
And understanding these specific legal categories we talk about, knowing the difference between going after a manufacturer for product liability versus suing the city for a bad road, for instance, that fundamentally changes how you approach seeking accountability.
It really does.
Yeah.
It dictates who you pursue, what you need to prove, and critically, how quickly you need to act.
Which leads to, I guess, a final thought or maybe a question for you to consider. If something went wrong on your ride tomorrow based on the route you take, the bike you ride, the gear you wear, do you have a clear sense of which of these potential claims might apply? Who would you actually be holding responsible? Something to think about.